What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Turnbuckle Topics podcast. I'm your host, Pat Deneen, and this is my review of WWE Backlash. Wow. Was this a great show or what? This premium live event exceeded expectations. I think I could speak for everybody when I say that. Even if you were optimistic about this show going into it, I don't think you ever would have expected the kind of ovation all these wrestlers were getting, the way that these fans in Puerto Rico were on their feet from the very beginning until this show went off air, and then some that we got to see on social media post Backlash, with fans even giving Brock Lesnar after the main event a standing O, chanting Suplex City and all that good stuff. So this crowd was great. I hope WWE does in fact make their way back to Puerto Rico sooner than later. They're obviously going to be in consideration because this felt like a Core 4 pay-per-view. It felt like WrestleMania, dare I say. So I'm going to get to this whole entire review. I'm going to go start to finish, all 7 matches, of course. And then let me start off here with a couple notes. This past Sunday would have been the 58th birthday of the Rocket, Owen Hart, who unfortunately this month we lost 24 years ago. That's right, May 23rd, 1999. We all know the infamous incident that took place at Over the Edge. So shout out to Owen Hart. We all miss him dearly, of course. He was fantastic. Ironically enough, it's also Kevin Owens' birthday that took place this past Sunday as well. They share the same birthday. Kevin Owens turned 39. And it's right in the name, Kevin Owens. He got his last name for wrestling, Owen, after Owen Hart. Them both being Canadian. Again, Kevin Owens being a huge fan of him, even named his first son after Owen Hart. His oldest child is also named Owen. So he was Kevin Steen on the Indies, came to WWE the better part of 10 years ago through NXT. And Kevin Owens has been the name. He's had a great career thus far in WWE. Just about held every title, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, he's an undisputed tag team champion now. He's held the Universal Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, the United States Championship. Of course, he was an NXT champion. I don't think he got the WWE Championship unto itself yet, but everything else he's gotten. So shout out to him, man. And also Will Ospreay. It was his birthday this past Sunday too, who turned 30 years old. So we got some breaking news Sunday afternoon in regards to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship tournament. I got some exciting news dating back to this past Friday's press conference in Puerto Rico for Backlash, where Triple H announced that there's going to be a tournament held this Monday and Friday. You got to remember, this is the first week that the brand new roster split goes into effect. So we have the new members of Raw and SmackDown. So we found out the 6 men on Raw and the 6 men on SmackDown that will take part in this two-part triple threat match. The winners of both of those matches on Monday night and Friday night will then go to the later part of the show, which I presume to be the main event. And the winners of each of those triple threat matches will be going head to head to decide who will be the final two that will go to Night of Champions on Saturday, May 27th in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, for going up for this new WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Very exciting stuff. So the members of Monday Night Raw that are in this tournament are Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, both members of Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Damian Priest, The Miz and Shinsuke Nakamura. So of course we got 3 heels here and 3 baby faces. The 3 heels being the 2 members of Judgment Day, Balor and Priest, and of course The Miz, Rollins, Rhodes, Nakamura. The baby faces for SmackDown, the 6 participants we have on that side of things. We have AJ Styles, who just returned a couple weeks ago, Austin Theory, Bobby Lashley, Rey Mysterio, Edge, and Sheamus. So look at that. We got 2 WWE Hall of Famers on that list on the SmackDown side of things, in Edge and now Rey Mysterio. So that's very interesting. All baby faces, by the way, for SmackDown that are taking part in this tournament, with the exception of the United States champion Austin Theory, who successfully defended his title this past weekend at Backlash, and what I believe was the shortest match of the night. It was just under 7 minutes. So we'll get to all that whole review in just a moment. A lot of us were surprised no Drew McIntyre on this list, who was just moved over to Monday Night Raw. Although it didn't come as a complete surprise, because there's been rumors the last couple of weeks, pretty much ever since after WrestleMania, that Drew was not happy with his place in the company, his direction, the fact that him and WWE can't come to terms on a new contract. I believe his contract expires either later 2023 or very early 2024. It was initially rumored that it was up in August. A lot of people said, oh, what if he makes the jump over to AEW at Wembley in August? And although that would be all well and good, it doesn't look like that will be happening either. Although I don't know, maybe Drew does leave. Maybe he is so unhappy, and maybe they're also not willing to pay him the money that he thinks he deserves rather. I don't know what the actual figure is, but I do think they should pay Drew handsomely, because he is one of the main players in the game that got them through the Thunderdome era during COVID 2020, 2021, etc., when he was a two-time WWE champion. Him, and on the women's side of things, you could say Bayley and Sasha Banks, them too, also very much so got WWE through that pandemic era, even from the women's side of things. But anyway, if I had to pick a final right now, who I would see, I know I've said Seth Rollins, I see winning the whole tournament. But from this final, of course, Seth Rollins from Raw. From SmackDown, I would either have AJ Styles or Edge. That would be a very good final as well. I believe all these guys have history. I know for a fact Seth Rollins and Edge have fought on a couple of occasions. And Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, I'm sure they've fought. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think if they've fought at a premium live event. They've certainly fought on an episode of Raw or SmackDown. But either way, I'd be happy with either of those outcomes. And certainly, like I said, regardless who comes out of SmackDown, definitely going to see Seth Rollins winning this whole tournament, hopefully. I do see Cody Rhodes losing because there will be some kind of interference. He did successfully defeat the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar, this past Saturday at Backlash. So I can see Brock getting some revenge and ruining this tournament for Cody, interfering at some point, whether it's during one of the triple threat matches on Raw or the main event match where he goes head to head to decide who's going to represent Raw at Night of Champions. So that's how I see things, and that's pretty much that. Let's get into this review, though. There's a whole lot to talk about. So WWE Backlash, favorite match of the night, I gotta say, in ring specifically, is that Raw Women's Championship match. Bianca Belair, the EST, WWE, setting all kinds of records out there, breaking records, matter of fact. And I'll get to that in just a minute. Going up against IYO Sky. Now, Puerto Rico, much to our surprise, we've got to remember, Damage Control, IYO Sky, they're heels, right? Bianca Belair obviously been running babyface ever since she came to the main roster a couple of years ago. However, Puerto Rico, they were fully behind IYO Sky without question. Bianca Belair got a cheer here and there, but she was getting a lot of boos. I think everybody was surprised at home watching this. Although Bianca did come out with the victory here, it was very much an eye opener. I would say it was probably somewhere in the range of 70-30. 70 in favor of IYO, and of course the other 30 cheering on Bianca. She got a big ovation after she won, pretty much. But throughout this match, it was very interesting to note. So that this match between Bianca and IYO Sky went 18 minutes on the dot. Again, great opening match between the two. And man, let me just start off by saying this. The drone footage that WWE did both Friday night for SmackDown and throughout the course of the night at WWE Backlash was fantastic. From the very start, where it led from outside of the arena, going into the arena, and then you see the ring and everything, even to some of the entrances, panning to the crowd, panning backstage, just fantastic. A great new, refreshing perspective of WWE. So that was really good to see. So shout out to WWE for doing that. So this Raw Women's Championship match, obviously a great opener without question. There was a double main event booked for the night that we found out at the very top of Backlash. The double main event was, of course, Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest. And, of course, the actual main event that we got to see was Cody Rhodes going up against Brock Lesnar. Anyway, we got a lot of "Let's Go IYO" chants. WWE Universe was speaking up. Like I said, Puerto Rico was a phenomenal crowd, again, one way or another. Now, it's one thing when a crowd unexpectedly may cheer for the heel. That happens time to time. But when the crowd blatantly boos the beloved babyface, who Bianca really hasn't seen this kind of reaction prior to Saturday night since she's been a babyface again on the main roster, whether it was when she was on SmackDown as SmackDown Women's Champion or on Raw the past year, Raw Women's Champion. So this was uncharted territory for Bianca Belair, and don't get me wrong, she has a mean streak in her if need be. Got to remember, her pretty much her whole time while she was in NXT before she came up to the main roster, she ran as heel, and she is a great heel. So look, Bianca, any given moment in time when you decide to flip that switch and make that heel turn, just know I am fully here for you. I fully back and support that change. I think it would be a nice change of pace for Bianca too. Do it while you are still champion. Don't wait until you unfortunately lose at some point in time, and then it's your road back to being the challenger for that title. That's all well and good too, but I would like to see you make that heel turn. Why not? You already set the new record as the longest Raw Women's Champion, longest reigning Raw Women's Champion of the modern era. And so why not just flip the switch? An unbelievable spot during this match was the one-arm military press. This was very impressive. As she was about to slam IYO Sky to the mat, though, a lot of people initially were blaming Bianca Belair for dropping IYO Sky. And from what I saw, especially on the replay, I could see it where a lot of people got that confused initially when IYO Sky went straight down to the ground, pretty much on her face. Everybody said, oh, Bianca dropped IYO on her face. And I don't necessarily think that was the case. From when I looked back at it a couple of times, when IYO Sky was posting up on Bianca Belair, it looked like before Bianca was able to turn her body around with that one arm and to throw her down to the mat, it looked like she slipped. She slid right down Bianca Belair, and Bianca tried to save it real quick, of course, being able to expedite her getting to the ground, but it was a little too late. And in the midst of that, IYO Sky hit the mat face first. I thought she might have broken her nose. I thought maybe even broken a cheekbone or something. No reports have came out in the last 24 hours, as far as I know, of IYO being hurt. She might be a little bruised and battered, but nothing of significance where I think she's going to be out of action for some time or anything actually broke. So that was a little scary, but again, I don't think it's anybody's fault. I think that it's just one of those unfortunate circumstances that happen sometimes during the course of a match. So anyway, the way IYO used the ropes throughout this match too, we all know she's called the Genius of the Sky for a reason. I mean, we've seen her in numerous War Games matches on NXT on the main roster this past year. She just works wonders. You look at Bianca Belair's strength and agility. You look at IYO Sky, how she quite literally, it's in the name, Sky. She's always in the air, doing something impressive. You blink and you might miss it. So she's just so damn good. Anyway, incredible moonsault by IYO to Bianca on the outside. Cole said it best. This is the IYO Sky the WWE Universe has been waiting for. And it's so very true. Ever since her return back at SummerSlam last July with Dakota Kai and Bayley forming Damage Control, it's been nice to see them together as a unit. It was very heartfelt seeing them on the main roster with Bayley, two-time Women's Tag Team Champion throughout the past year. That's all well and good, but we all know where IYO thrives. We know that she thrives as a singles competitor. Again, we've seen it on NXT. It was nice during the end of her tenure in NXT. She was a tag champion yet again, alongside Zoe Stark. But even when she was NXT champion unto itself, that was great as well. I think she had won it off of Charlotte Flair, if I'm not mistaken, because Rhea obviously lost to Charlotte, and then Charlotte eventually lost to, I want to say, IYO Sky in a triple threat match at In Your House a few years ago. I think that's how that went. But anyway, IYO could hang with the best of them. She cemented that for those that were unaware of what she did in NXT or even prior to NXT all throughout the world. What she did on Saturday night was incredible. So anyway, Dakota Kai and Bayley make their way out to the ring towards the end of this match to provide a distraction. Belair rocked IYO with the right hand. It was vicious. It was really vicious. Almost took her down. I thought she might have knocked her lights out. Anyway, IYO Sky nearly rolled up Bianca for a 3 count. Bianca ends up hitting IYO with the KOD for the victory. Incredible match. Bianca becomes the longest reigning WWE Women's Champion, like I said, and of the modern era. Now, there was even a spot towards the latter part of this match where Bianca caught IYO on the top turnbuckle, turned it into a powerbomb spot. Again, the strength of Bianca Belair is just unmatched. It really is. So it's going to be interesting seeing what happens going forward with Bianca, with IYO, with the Raw Women's Championship, being that she's on SmackDown now. I'm assuming that her and Rhea are going to swap sooner than later, and that's annoying because they should not be drafted to another brand if they are said champion, especially Bianca with a year-plus reign. She's just going to hand over her Raw title to receive the SmackDown title. It's kind of silly. So anyway, we're going to get IYO Sky and Bianca both on SmackDown, both drafted to SmackDown. And we'll see what the future holds. Now, this is important to note. When Bayley came down to the ring with Dakota Kai towards the end of the match, it was unnecessary because IYO obviously could hold her own. Again, the crowd loved her so much, I forgot she was even a heel. So, women coming down to help IYO didn't even seem like it made sense because not only can she handle herself, but again, I forgot that she would be doing any kind of a heel tactic or get any help from a heel standpoint. So anyway, I think that Bayley pretty much ended up costing IYO this match. Because her interference is what kind of distracted IYO towards the end of this. She was the one who held Bianca Belair's braid. The referee caught wind of it when she was on the outside. The referee had told Bayley to let go. By the time that had happened, IYO came off, what I believe was a moonsault that she missed on coming down to the mat because Bianca had time to roll away, to roll towards the corner, which led to the KOD. And for the 1, 2, 3. So this is going to be the beginning of the end for Damage Control. They're going to split up. I don't know if it's going to be immediately this Friday on SmackDown or if it's going to take some time, but I would not be surprised to, again, see them split, see EO go up against Bayley, potentially see EO go up against Dakota Kai sooner than later. Does it mean uh, we're going to see one of them turn face? I would think so. Who would I rather see turn face, Bayley or IYO Sky? I think at this point in time, I'd rather see IYO Sky turn babyface, I suppose. Not just because of the reaction that she received at Backlash this past Saturday in Puerto Rico, but because Bayley was the one who just pulled a heel tactic when IYO will probably pretty much tell her, look, I did not need you to do that. You ended up costing me the match anyway. I was doing fine on my own. So I could see that. And if you look at the footage, I noticed this after the show as well on social media. This is a key takeaway. When Bayley and Dakota were making their way down to the ring, you could see that Dakota Kai was trying to talk Bayley out of interfering in the match, trying to be that voice of reason, I guess you could say. And Bayley wasn't having it. Tried to tell her, don't do it. And she did it anyway. Bayley was going to do what she wanted to do, and that's exactly what had happened. So maybe Bayley knew exactly what she was doing. She knew that IYO was doing so damn good and was probably really close to becoming the new Raw Women's Champion, and said, "Not on my watch. I'm gonna go to SmackDown on my own, or just with Dakota, and you're gonna be staying on Monday Night Raw as the champion." I don't think so. So maybe that was a thought that crossed her mind too. So we'll have to see in the coming days what happens with that. But Damage Control is going to need Damage Control because they're in the midst of a split, which I think is needed. IYO needs to be on her own. Look, Bayley and Dakota Kai, whether they're baby faces or heels, they could run tag for a little bit. We saw them together in a tag match a week or two ago on Raw, and that's just how they could do things. That'll be fine. So going on to the next part here, we have a backstage segment with Bad Bunny. Crowd was going wild, as you can imagine. Talking to Rey Mysterio, who came into the locker room, discussing that San Juan street fight that would take place later in the night. And we had a surprise visit. Rey had somebody that he wanted Bad Bunny to meet, and it was none other than Savio Vega. Man, I haven't seen him on WWE television in years. Love Savio Vega. I was fortunate enough to meet him about 6 years ago or so at a convention. And man, just brought me back to the mid 90s immediately. Strap match with Stone Cold Steve Austin. The issues he had with the Nation and Domination when he had joined the Nation for a little bit, Los Boricuas. So there was just a lot of cool memories, a lot of flashbacks I had once I had seen Savio Vega. He looks great. And so shout out to him. Awesome moment to see. He walked in there with a Puerto Rican flag inspired kendo stick for one Bad Bunny for his match again later in the night, that street fight. So that was really cool. Cool moment. Going on to match number 2 here, we have Omos, the Nigerian Giant, going up against Seth freaking Rollins. Let me just start off by saying, again, this premium live event as a whole exceeded expectations. This match exceeded expectations, and I obviously am saying it from the standpoint of Omos. Never, ever would I assume that Seth Rollins is going to do anything that isn't remotely amazing. Seth Rollins, not only does he do well on his own, no matter who he has in the ring and is facing, regardless of their level of experience, Seth will make you look great. That's what the great ones do, right? That's why he gets paid the big bucks, presumably. So, and hopefully he's handsomely rewarded with that new championship in just 3 weeks' time. So anyway, Omos took it to Seth from the very start. He actually gave Seth Rollins a big boot at the very beginning, while the crowd was serenading him with his song, as they usually sing out loud for minutes at a time. But Omos wasn't having it. Again, big boot to the back of his head, very unexpected. One thing that shined through, not only was this, in my opinion, Omos's best match to date, but his personality is starting to shine through very strongly, and I think that is really helping him. He's not just coming out there as this big giant goof, and not showing any sense of personality. He's actually beginning to tell you he can be funny even as a heel. He was mocking the crowd, throwing his hands up as Seth Rollins would with the fans. Again, when they're doing his whole theme song, he was taunting the fans. He was taunting Seth Rollins. He's making it personal. And I think you got to have that connection with the fans, especially if you want to be that heel. You want to be that hated heel. You want that heel heat. I'm not saying he's going to get heel heat like Dominic Mysterio anytime soon, but if you can get the fans to outwardly despise you for all the right reasons, for the most part, not just because they think you don't deserve that spot, that's exactly what you want to do. So Seth Rollins hit Omos with a frog splash, and I don't think we've ever seen this. As Seth went for the pin, Omos kicked out at 1. Didn't even make it to 2, which after a frog splash, usually that more times than not will seal the deal for most competitors, not just in a Seth Rollins match, but Seth will at least get you to, he'll at least get the 2 count or that 3 count. After the 1 count, he literally tossed Seth Rollins off of him like, "Who are you?" So that shocked the crowd. That was one of the many shocking moments during this Omos Seth Rollins matchup here. Next up, Rollins attempted a curb stomp, but Omos didn't budge, and ended up choke slamming Rollins instead. When I tell you Omos didn't budge, he didn't budge. When he went for that curb stomp, his head, his neck, nothing moved. Nothing moved at all. He was frozen in time, and so that was pretty remarkable to see. Now, again, this was the first match that Omos really made me believe that he is the real deal, that he can hang. I'm not calling him a glorified superstar. Don't get it twisted here, but I do think that, look, if I see him on a not even just a premium live event card, but if I see him scheduled for a match on Raw or SmackDown, because you got to remember he is one of the very few free agents out there in WWE alongside Brock Lesnar, Corbin, and a few others. Um, I might be looking forward to it now. I'm not saying I'll be chomping at the bit, but I won't be rolling my eyes. I won't be so quick to dismiss it. I'll say, you know what, let's give it a chance. And that was my biggest takeaway from this match. Granted, it was Seth Rollins. He was dancing with one hell of a dance partner in that ring. But we'll see. We'll see what happens after his next one. So anyway, let's get to the end of this here. So this was pretty amazing, how good Omos was in the sense of kicking out of things and getting out of things that Seth Rollins usually, squares away and is out of there, gets the win right away. So multiple curb stomps from Seth to Omos, and he still kicked out. That wasn't enough. It ends up with Seth hitting Omos with a curb stomp from the top rope to get the victory. Omos certainly didn't make this easy for Seth Rollins. Seth got the win. Exhausting match nonetheless. This match went about just under 11 minutes, 10 and a half minutes, it's saying here. And so, yeah, that match wasn't bad. Again, amazing opener for the Raw Women's Championship, and followed by a pretty good match at that between Seth Rollins and Omos. So moving on to match number 3 here, I would probably have to say this was the match that I was least looking forward to. Surprisingly, I know, again, most of you that listen to me here would probably say, oh, maybe the Omos match was the one you weren't really caring for. And I'm not saying I was excited for that either, but I was curious to see which way they were going to go with that, because I thought maybe there was a slight possibility that they put Omos over and have Seth take an L there, because, obviously Omos lost at WrestleMania to Brock Lesnar. Now he's going up against another formidable opponent. And maybe, he'll get this win over Seth, even if he just squeaks one by, because it's getting around that time where Omos is going to need a big victory going forward, instead of just beating the local talent and jobbers on episodes of Raw and such. But, to be honest with you, he did a ton. He prevented Seth from doing a lot, and we saw what it took Saturday night for Seth to get a win over Omos. He literally had to pull all the tricks out of the bag there. So it was convincing, even though he didn't end up the winner. But long story short, this triple threat match for the United States Championship, wasn't looking forward to it. Knew there was no story behind it. Yeah, there was a story that's been brewing lately between Bronson Reed and Bobby Lashley, and those two going head to head. The last couple weeks, they've had exchanged some words backstage and such on Raw. But we did not understand why Austin Theory was inserted into this match. Obviously, he is the United States champion, has history with Bobby Lashley throughout the past year and stuff like that. But this was very random at that. And as I assumed, Austin Theory would retain here. This match was, again, the shortest match of the night. This match went, just under 7 minutes. So, again, I guess it served its purpose. It was all right. At the end of the day, I'm happy Bronson Reed was able to get on this show. Again, only a 7-match card. Not a lot of people had this opportunity to be on this big stage, this live crowd in Puerto Rico. But that was pretty much that. And honestly, I'm just going to move on to the next match here. So match number 4, we have the SmackDown Women's Championship match between Judgment Day's Rhea Ripley, SmackDown Women's Champion, going up against the much-deserving Zelina Vega. I don't know where to tackle this. There's so much to talk about, but I guess I'll start with Zelina Vega. She has come such a long way in the world of professional wrestling in general, even prior to making it to NXT or WWE as a manager, a valet, eventually getting the opportunities to wrestle after leaving the company a couple of years ago, being brought back about a year and a half ago or so, and becoming a women's tag team champion, becoming the winner of the Queen's Crown tournament in Saudi a little over a year ago, getting this opportunity to wrestle for a championship in Puerto Rico, where she is from. It meant everything to her, really. And even though she did not come out with the victory against Rhea Ripley, as most of us assumed would not happen, again, I think that it couldn't have gotten much better than that, quite honestly. She will never forget this. I think it's safe for me to speak for her on that behalf, that she will never forget this moment, probably the most important moment in her wrestling career. Again, prior to coming to this company, she made the rounds, whether it was in TNA for quite some time and so many other independent promotions. And here she was. Zelina's outfit was amazing. The back of her outfit donning the flag of Puerto Rico. She had Puerto Rico on her back, and they had her back, quite literally there. Look, her actual ring gear, all Puerto Rican flag inspired. She looked gorgeous. Again, Zelina Vega, big fan of her for many a reason. Looked great. Her family was in the front row. Michael Cole went on to say her uncle fought Bruno Sammartino many years ago, which I got to get her uncle's name. I didn't even peep that. That was very interesting to note. So during the introductions by Samantha Irvin, we saw a very emotional Zelina Vega as her name was announced for this SmackDown Women's Championship match, obviously. So the fans were chanting her name, going absolutely wild for one Zelina Vega. And man, just could not be happier for her. This match went just over 7 minutes. Zelina started off this match from the outside, taking a flip flop and throwing it at the head of Rhea Ripley, who was in the midst of the ring. Now, in Latin culture, apparently this is a thing. It's a chancla, la chancla. Hopefully I'm pronouncing this right. Bear with me here. And the reason for this, or throwing the flip flop per se, is in Latin culture, this would be typical for mothers to throw at their children's heads for misbehaving. So the crowd definitely popped for that. Again, that's a big deal and funny nonetheless. I thought it was great once I did a little research on the whole bit. Anyway, now as far as in-ring attire, Rhea Ripley was wearing white. The last time she wore white defending a title, as far as I recall, was at WrestleMania 36 at the Performance Center when she lost that NXT Women's Championship to Charlotte Flair. Now, the thing is, typically, it's just like a fun fact or lack thereof in pro wrestling. Whenever somebody wears white, especially when they're the defending champion, they typically lose. I don't know why, but that just seems to be a thing more times than not. So I saw her come out wearing the white, and I said, "Oh wow, don't tell me, or do tell me," because I said to myself, even if Zelina Vega held this SmackDown Women's Championship for just a matter of days, and then lost it on the very next episode of SmackDown to Rhea Ripley, or I don't know how that exactly would work because Rhea Ripley was drafted to Raw. New roster is going to affect this week. She still holds the SmackDown Women's Championship. Zelina Vega is also on SmackDown, so I don't know how that rematch would have taken place per se. They still got to work out a lot of particulars as far as women's championships are concerned this week and going forward. But anyway, I was like, wow, maybe we could see this title change hands, even if it is just for a couple of days. But nonetheless, that did not take place. Also noticed something very in particular in regards to Rhea Ripley's outfit. She posted a picture after WWE Backlash with, of course, Dominic Mysterio. This is Rhea Ripley turned around here, so we got to see the back of her outfit, which I didn't really get to notice during the match. And it has Dominic Mysterio pointing to the back of it, and it says Dom Dom, as she refers to him as, and she goes, "Always bringing Poppy with me. Hashtag real support real." So that was very interesting. Very interesting words inscribed on the back of that ring gear. Very nice looking ring gear, by the way. I gotta say though, it was the white ring gear with the black and purple Judgment Day colors. So white and purple was pretty much their theme for the night, as I'll get to in a little bit. Also seeing Damian Priest wearing white as well. It's very surprising because Judgment Day is typically wearing black and purple, but they went with the white. And to be quite honest with you, I did think it was a good look. I hope they do it more going forward. So anyway, back to this match and how it ended up here. We got to see Zelina hit Rhea with a 619, little ode to Rey Mysterio, and then goes to the second rope for a little shoulder shimmy, little homage to one Eddie Guerrero as well, back to back, representing some legends who were also best friends in Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. Then landed a Meteora, definitive kick, then followed by a Riptide for the win. Rhea was able to change things up real quick here and end up on the winning side of things. Rhea retains. Post-match, after Rhea and company had left the ring. A huge standing ovation for Zelina Vega, deservedly so. Again, what a special moment for her. She did not leave as the winner, as the champion. But you know what, man? This meant so much to her. It meant so much to Puerto Rico. It meant a lot to all of her fans, to, girls that are looking up to her in any regard, who maybe want to be pro wrestlers one day, maybe just girls from New York, where she's from, also where she grew up. So man, just a really big deal. And me personally, speaking from my behalf, just as a fan of pro wrestling, I couldn't be more happy for her. I really couldn't. So I don't know if she's ever going to get the whole singles gold in WWE. Obviously she's a former tag team champion, but if this is in fact as close as Zelina gets to the WWE Women's Championship unto itself, without, unfortunately, she wasn't able to win it. But what a bigger stage than being able to go in Puerto Rico, having the fans fully back you, regardless win, lose, or draw. They showed their full support, their full love to you. And man, you could not ask for anything much better than that. So she actually had sent out a tweet directly following the match, if I could find it real quick. Zelina Vega went on to say, "Thank you," with the Puerto Rican flag up there. "You'll never know what tonight meant to me. I love you all so much." Still crying. Mind you, this was a couple hours after her match, and the pay-per-view by then had, went off air. So I can only imagine, again, how much this meant to her. So shout out to Zelina Vega. That's great stuff. Love to see it. Really do. You did Puerto Rico prep. Now, ironically enough, the two women who did not come out with the victory at Backlash got the most support throughout the course of this night. Again, starting off with IYO Sky, which, Puerto Rico shocked the world when we saw everybody cheering for IYO, who is a heel, going up against Bianca Belair, who's beloved, at least visibly by everybody through this couple-year face run as champion on the main roster. And that was wild to see. And then Zelina Vega obviously getting the love, respect, and adoration as she rightfully deserves, returning to Puerto Rico, getting this championship match. So that was pretty damn cool to see. Seeing these women get that support, even though they did not come out with a victory in some regard. Now we're going to get to match number 5 of 7 here. This match, most would say that this stole the show. I think it did too. This was the show, in my opinion. Again, prior to this, I'd give it to the Raw Women's Championship. That one was, I said going into it, that one could be a show stealer without question. But with everything that was involved in this match between Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, man, was it good. And I'm going to do my very best to be detail-oriented, as I always try to be, going through this one right here. Damian Priest versus Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny came out, actually prior to him coming out, they had an awesome shot of him backstage before he got out to the crowd there, the camera following him, and you could just feel the suspense and the momentum building before his beat dropped. He got out there, the beat dropped, the crowd, they were singing along in unison. He got some pyro. He came down with a shopping cart full of goodies for this street fight, a little tribute to New Jack, we all know New Jack and ECW. Came down. There was everything in that shopping cart. There was kendo sticks, garbage cans, steel chairs. He had everything, and the kitchen sink was probably in there as well. Graves said it best. Priest must feel like the loneliest man on this island, and that in fact felt true. For a moment there, you might have even forgot that Damian Priest also raised in Puerto Rico. So that was very interesting. But let's get right to this match. So early on, Bad Bunny hit Priest with a Michinoku driver. Bad Bunny hit Damian Priest with a Falcon Arrow. That was also impressive. Damian Priest shortly thereafter notices he's bleeding from his nose on the outside. It seems as if he's going to end up walking away from this match. He turns, heading back. Priest turns around as Bunny runs at him with a garbage can, and Priest connects with a big boot. Now, during this match, I also noticed WWE Shop released 4 different Bad Bunny t-shirts for sale. I'm sure they made a killing off of the amount of t-shirts and merchandise, not only in person there in Puerto Rico, but online as well for Bad Bunny. So I had to add that before I forgot. It's crazy because there's a lot of talent on the current roster that don't even have any merchandise, that don't even have one t-shirt, and they work the full calendar year for WWE. Meanwhile, Bad Bunny's there for a cup of coffee. You get it? I get it. He's a huge draw, and they're going to sell like hotcakes, but he has 4 shirts. Meanwhile, a lot of wrestlers don't even have a baseball cap on the website, but what are you going to do? It's just how it is. Anyway, so we got a broken arrow, which is very similar to the Falcon Arrow move, from Priest to Bunny. off of some equipment in the crowd through a table. This was nasty. Both men were looking hurt at this point. Adam Pearce ran out to check on Bad Bunny, along with several referees. Damian Priest goes on to say he's not done because I'm not done. So the match continues. Priest goes to kick Bunny and hits his leg on the ring post. Bunny gets a kendo stick and hits him in the bad leg. Steel chair to the left leg on Priest. After working on the leg already for quite a few minutes, Priest hops on one leg, about to hit Bunny with a chair, but Bunny hits him with a low blow. Now we get to see Dominic and Finn Balor of the Judgment Day make their way out there. They attack him. Remember, there's no disqualification in the San Juan street fight, so anything goes. Before you know it, Rey Mysterio comes out to help. Still, they have the numbers advantage. And then a very unexpected return. We heard the theme music of Carlito. Carlito made his way down there. Again, crowd going wild. He's wearing an LWO shirt. LWO, they've been the top seller for the better part of a month for WWE shops. Confirmation there for WWE that they obviously made the right decision bringing back the whole LWO. They got of course, the Mexican flag and, of course, the Puerto Rican flag variation of the shirt that we saw this past weekend. Both look awesome. So anyway, he comes out, hit either Finn or Dominic with a backstabber. I forget who. Was eating his signature apple. Dominic ends up hitting Carlito, but then Rey hits Dom with a 619. There was so much going on. It was crazy at this point. Was trying to keep up. Then very unexpectedly, we saw him in the backstage segment earlier in the night. But we actually got to see him come out down the aisleway for just a little bit. And that was Savio Vega. His music hit. I mean, when's the last time his music hit in a WWE arena, right? For WWE show? It had to be the 90s at some point. Anyway, that was great. Came out. He had the vest on. Underneath that, he had the LWO shirt. Calls out the LWO behind him. Now, Vega chopped Balor numerous times until he hit the ground. Bunny locked in the figure 4 on Damian Priest, but to no avail. Priest took several chair shots. I mean, a lot. So many hits. In fact, Corey Graves said, I think he just went platinum. That was a pretty good one. Bunny wins with a Bunny Destroyer. Canadian Destroyer, all the same. LWO came out in its entirety post-match to help celebrate this victory, along with Savio Vega, Carlito, etc. So from Zelina Vega to Savio Vega, man, it was just a great night, great weekend. That was a lot more fun than I would have ever anticipated. Now, this match ran, I know it wasn't the longest running match of the night. At least I don't believe so. No, actually it was. It was the longest running match by 3 minutes. This San Juan street fight came out to around 25 minutes. And it was exciting start to finish, top to bottom. I mean, if you just gave us that Damian Priest Bad Bunny match unto itself, just those two, I, along with many others, would agree that match was up there in contention for the best match of the night. Again, in my personal opinion, with that Raw Women's Championship match. Either way, great match, but then you want to take into account Judgment Day obviously coming out. Then you got the return of Carlito. Savio Vega makes his way out. And then the LWO come out to settle the score there. I mean, this was just so good in every which way. I can't say enough good things, really. I cannot say enough good things about it. I'll probably sound like a broken record saying it over and over. So in any event, that was that. Bad Bunny got the victory, as I did anticipate. That's huge. Now, Sunday afternoon, we come to find out across WWE's social media platforms collectively, Carlito's return in just under 12 hours pulled in over 8 million views. 8 million views. So needless to say, people found that to be relevant. And there's also, rumors going around that we may not have seen the last of Carlito. Maybe he'll be brought back, maybe for a year or two. Who knows what the particulars would be if WWE's looking to bring him back. We saw him at the 2021 Royal Rumble. That was his first appearance in years with WWE. But unfortunately, if you remember that Royal Rumble, that's where Edge and Bianca Belair both won. That was in the Thunderdome. So Carlito returned to no live audience. So for him to actually return for the first time in years, not only just with a live audience, but in Puerto Rico, is huge. Now, in an interview that came out a couple days prior to him showing up at Backlash, as far as him making a return to pro wrestling in general, this is what he had to say. He says, yeah, I'm open to whatever. Any good offers from anywhere, it does not matter. Thing is, nobody calls me, so I don't sit by the phone either. If something comes up, great. If not, I keep doing what I'm doing. So this is from Carlito, given to us by Metro UK. That was who had interviewed him. So look, I would love to see Carlito in a ring. He's in great shape, presumably the best shape of his life. Now, Chris Masters, I'm sure you remember him. Chris Masters, Chris Adonis. He's also another pro wrestler that's in fantastic shape to this very day. He went on to tweet out a picture of him in a parking lot with Carlito. I don't know how old this picture is. It looks like it could have been relatively recently. Anyway, he wrote, I've literally watched Carlito come back from last night about 50 times. I am so happy he had that moment, considering his comeback at the Rumble had no live crowd, as I just emphasized. Honestly, I didn't even realize how fired up I'd be about another man's return. Laughing emoji. So again, shout out to Carlito, shout out to Savio Vega. I know most people said, as far as returns were concerned, they were most excited for Carlito. Although I do like Carlito, I enjoy him very much. He was very popular in WWE when I had taken a hiatus, I'll be honest. Now, Savio Vega, on the other hand, that was during the height of when I watched pro wrestling. It really was. Just before the Attitude Era kicked into full force, I watched him when he was a single superstar before he had ever joined the Nation or joined Los Boricuas or actually formed Los Boricuas, actually. So I was always a big fan of Savio Vega and just so wholesome. That was such a wholesome show, but such a wholesome match, top to bottom. Everybody involved did a great job. And so we're going to move on to match number 6 here. We got 2 left. So match number 6, we have the 6-man tag match. The Bloodlines, Solo Sikoa, Jimmy and Jey Uso going up against the Undisputed Tag Team Champions, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Matt Riddle. Now, Solo was looking at the Usos in disgust from the very beginning of this match. Like, they're just not good enough anymore. There's definitely some visible tension before this thing even got going. It's been happening for weeks, as a matter of fact, especially after the Usos' recent losses in rematches with KO and Sami in singles contests, etc. So, this was a great match, I'll be honest, but at one point I lost a little interest. And I don't know if it specifically has to do with the people who were involved. I don't think so, because just a month ago at WrestleMania, this was one of the matches I was most looking forward to be honest, between KO, Sami, and the Usos. I think it was the simple fact that we just came off the high of that street fight involving all the people that I just mentioned with Bad Bunny, Priest, LWO, Judgment Day, Savio Vega, Carlito. I mean, man, how do you top that? It was tough, I'll be honest, for these next 2 matches that had to take place, no matter how much we were all collectively looking forward to them. To have to follow that it was a tall task. It really was. But at the end of the day, I did enjoy the match for what it was worth. I was surprised at the outcome, though. I did not think that the Bloodline were going to end up coming out with the victory here, which they were able to, but at the same time, a lot of storytelling, a lot of cracks in the foundation of the Bloodline, as we've seen for weeks now up until this point. So anyway, getting back to the match here, Jimmy accidentally connects with a super kick to the face of his brother, Jey Uso, when he meant to kick Kevin Owens. KO's pop-up powerbomb nearly ended the match, however, Jey kicked out. Now, Jey says to Sami, I am tired of you. He got him in the corner there. He goes, you're breaking up my family, and it's your fault. He goes on to say, it's your fault several times. Sheer frustration on his face. Solo initially slapped the chest of Jey Uso at one point to tag himself in. Jey immediately slapped the chest of Solo Sikoa 10 times harder than Solo had hit him initially. Obviously, Solo was visibly pissed, very upset with him. But the whole sequence ends up backfiring anyway. We see a haluva kick from Sami Zayn to Solo Sikoa, initially knocking him off of the apron. This was followed by a haluva kick to Jey Uso. Close call, but Solo was able to break up the near 3 count of Jey Uso, about to take that loss. At one point, Solo was about to hit Jey Uso with the Samoan Spike, but to the ending of this match, Solo Sikoa hits Matt Riddle with the Samoan Spike for the win. Riddle did not know, however, that Solo had tagged Jey to become the legal man here, and so that's why Riddle seemingly was blindsided by the outcome of this match and how it ended. Post-match, Jimmy was trying to have all 3 of them, Jimmy, Jey, Solo, all on the same page, throwing up the ones at the end. Only Jey, his brother, did so. Solo continued to stare down Jey big time. Solo was staring at Jey fiercely. And mind you, Jimmy is unaware of what took place between Solo and Jey numerous times throughout that match, especially when they were, slapping each other to tag themselves in. So this whole Solo Jey story will progress. It's going to be very interesting, being that this Friday on SmackDown, Roman Reigns does return for the first time in nearly a month. So that's going to be very juicy to see where they go from here. And yeah, the Bloodline seems to be in trouble here. Yeah, they squeaked out a victory. I do get that, which I was a little surprised by. No sweat off KO or Sami's back. They're still the undisputed tag champs. But at the end of the day, yeah, the Bloodline has a lot to deal with, and I'm really curious how Roman's going to conduct business. I would imagine him and Solo Sikoa will be on the same page, and they'll continue to break down the Usos. Or maybe Roman does surprisingly side with the Usos, even though they haven't won their tag titles back. And Maybe that builds up a little tension between Solo, eventually turning on Roman at some point, and eventually costing Roman his title, or if not both titles, because Solo's had enough. Maybe hits him with a Samoan spike at some point. So we'll see. Let's get to this main event, though. The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, going up against the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. Now, before this match took place, Cody got down on his knees in the center of that ring, kissed the mat, and was prepared for battle. Right before Brock Lesnar made his way down to the ring, Cody struck first. He didn't wait, quite literally, with the top of the commentary table on the outside. Then the steel steps for a few times. Now a steel chair. The bell had not even rung yet at this point. Eventually, Cody was met with a suplex shortly after the match began. Actually, a couple. I heard someone yell Suplex City, and it was just that. Before you know it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 suplexes happened before you knew it. However, this got very interesting. We're so used to seeing Cody Rhodes bleed at some point, like we saw in AEW and WWE, and much like Jon Moxley, it's just common, right? However, Cody was not the one who drew blood on this very night. Brock Lesnar did. It was from a turnbuckle pad that he had removed earlier in the match that I don't know if he meant to throw it into the crowd, but there was one sequence in this match where Brock threw the turnbuckle pad into the crowd, not just to the outside. And long story short, Brock ran to the corner full force at one point. Cody had gotten out of the way, and Brock ran directly in to the exposed turnbuckle that cut his head right open. It did not look like Brock Lesnar bladed for this moment, for this spot. It looked like Brock literally hit it head on and was cut from that very turnbuckle. So it was nasty. He was bleeding quite a bit. We saw a Cody cutter, disaster kick, then another Cody cutter, crossroads, then another crossroads. However, Brock kicked out. Minutes later, Lesnar hits Cody with an F5 after avoiding the third crossroads. Brock has Cody in the Kimura lock. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. It was very abrupt, very sudden. Cody ended up squeaking out a pinfall victory over Brock Lesnar. He ended up reversing the Kimura, had Brock's body weight used against him, had Lesnar on his back, and got the 1, 2, 3. Rhodes is back on the road to finish his story, I suppose. So, good win for Cody. I don't think their program is done yet. As I said at the top of the show, I could see Brock costing Cody his opportunity at the WWE World Heavyweight Championship tournament tonight, whether it's in the initial triple threat match, whoever he goes up against, or if it is in the final of that night, if he's going up against Seth or whoever he goes up against for that matter, and costs Cody the match. And we'll probably see a part 2 take place as early as Night of Champions at the end of May 27th. So that was that. And so post-match, after Backlash went off air, there was a video that surfaced online while Brock was still in the ring. All the fans were chanting Brock's name, giving him a standing ovation, and even yelling Suplex City in unison. He turned around to all sides of the arena, smiled, started doing his Brock Lesnar little bounce hop that he usually does prior to his matches or during an entrance and stuff like that. He was appreciative of Puerto Rico's support without question, even though he's been running heel the past month ever since turning on Cody Rhodes. You could tell Brock was very appreciative. Who knows how many more times Brock Lesnar is going to be out there as an active wrestler. You know, he knows his career is winding down. Lord knows when WWE is going to make their way back to Puerto Rico. So if this is the final time that Brock Lesnar is in Puerto Rico, or this is the last time for a long time that WWE makes their way there, I know he was wanted to show them also a bit of appreciation. So that was cool. He took it all in, and that was that. So the show was over. What a pay-per-view. Again, what a premium live event. Backlash, man, I can't say enough good things about it. I am very excited for tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. It's going to be good. Just going to be really great. Now, one thing I got to mention is during the SmackDown Women's Championship match brought me really back to my childhood. And just when I thought Savio Vega took me back to about the age of 10 years old, it took me back even further when I saw a fan out there waving an Ultimate Warrior wrestling buddy from the early 90s out there. I know you know what I'm talking about. All my golden era fans out there. We had the me personally, I had Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan. I had a couple of them. I know there was also the likes of the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, the Macho King Randy Savage, Jake the Snake Roberts. I know there was a couple different wrestling buddies growing up, but yeah, it was cool to see somebody holding an Ultimate Warrior wrestling buddy. It's not something typical or common you see. To see a fan out there that probably is my age, mid to late 30s, even early 40s, whatever, out there with something like that really just took me back, and I thought that was really cool. Again, Puerto Rico doesn't get these opportunities like a lot of us in the tri-state area do to see wrestling shows in general on a daily basis, whether it is WWE, AEW, or any other promotion for that matter. So good for them, man. Good for them. That was a very nice moment to see. And by the way, this is a little off topic, but I got to give my New Jersey Devils a shout out. I see they got a huge win on Sunday against the Carolina Hurricanes. They were down 0-2 in this series, by the way, much like the last round of the playoffs when they were going up against the New York Rangers. They lost the first two games, 0-2, and they lost badly. And it was the same thing for this. So hopefully we could tie it up Tuesday night and forge forward here. Big win, 8-4, high scoring game. So just happened to see that score pop up while I'm discussing my notes here. A couple other notes which I like to see. Sportskeeda Wrestling had posted, all right, let's settle this. Logan Paul or Bad Bunny? Who's the better wrestler? Now look, as far as celebrities are concerned, both of them get an A+ in my book every time they've had a match or a segment or a moment on WWE television. They've showed up and showed out. So of course, The Miz having history with both of them. You know, WrestleMania 37, The Miz and Morrison went up against Damian Priest and Bad Bunny. And WrestleMania 38, he teamed up with Logan Paul, right? He teamed up with Logan Paul to go up against Rey and Dominic Mysterio. So 2 tag team matches. Anyway, The Miz retweeted it. When you touch greatness, you become great, with the sunglasses emoji. So, hey, look, man, like it or not, like The Miz or not, he's not lying. You know, he's not lying at all. There was a tweet from Ryan Satin saying it's insane that Bad Bunny is the most streamed artist in the world, winning Grammys, going to Met Galas, dating a Kardashian, and he's also an active member of the WWE roster, who just wrestled a street fight in Puerto Rico. So that was funny enough too, to mention right there. Now, Dolph Ziggler tweeted, I am jealous of anyone involved with Backlash last night. Behind the scenes, in the ring, and in the crowd, this business can be absolutely beautiful sometimes. Hats off to Jacksonville for crushing it too. That's a little shout out to AEW, by the way, because AEW is doing a phenomenal job selling out tickets for their Wembley Stadium show, August 27th. I think they're on the road to selling 70,000 tickets and counting. So he ends it with, what a time to be a wrestling fan, I bet. Haha. Also, Saturday night, the commentary team confirmed, in fact, the WWE Undisputed Tag Team Championships will be on both shows. Even though we have about 15 people or so that are free agents, and that can be on both brands. Technically, KO and Sammy are exclusive to Monday Night Raw, but they can apparently show up whenever they want and defend them, which makes sense because they have to. They are the SmackDown Tag Team Champions as well, and that is to why they should remain free agents. But I don't know. They put them on Raw for whatever reason. Is what it is, but I'm glad they kind of clarified that. So as far as Bianca Belair and IYO Sky went for that Raw Women's Championship match, it was produced by Natalya's husband, TJ Wilson, also known as Tyson Kidd, when he was an active wrestler in WWE. Shout out to TJ Wilson. I know he plays a huge role in a lot of the women's matches, especially on these premium live events. And man, did he do a great job putting that one together. Obviously, take nothing away from Bianca and IYO. They are the ones that had to go out there and make it great, which we all know that they would. We all knew it, but man, he did a fantastic job. And as far as Rhea Ripley, Zelina Vega's match was concerned, for that women's championship match for the SmackDown title, that was produced by Sean Daivari. As of this recording, Bianca Belair, 400 days, becoming the longest reigning Raw Women's Champion. The longest reigning women's champion of the modern era. So shout out to her. I'm sure she's excited. Again, she is the Raw Women's Champion, but we probably won't be seeing her tonight, right? Because she's a member of the SmackDown Women's roster now. We'll have to see. Look, BT Sport put out a tweet that said, Clash at the Castle in Cardiff, Cardiff, Wales, Elimination Chamber in Montreal, and then, of course, Backlash in San Juan Saturday night. We've been blessed. Where next and for who? Santos Escobar retweeted Mexico. Hey, look, I'd love to see a premium live event come to Mexico. Again, get another glimpse of the LWO doing their thing. Why not? That'd be a good place to stop. But yeah, look, dating back to September. Again, that's where Clash was at. February, obviously, Elimination Chamber. And then San Juan, Puerto Rico was fantastic. It was fantastic for all parties involved. Zelina Vega, Bad Bunny, even Damian Priest on the losing side of things in that match as well. everybody got their opportunity. Drew McIntyre at Clash was huge. I was hoping Drew would win that Universal Championship match, the Undisputed Championship match against Roman. Did not happen. And obviously, a lot of us were pulling for Sami Zayn against Roman, too, at Elimination Chamber Montreal. Did not happen either. But again, all three of those shows delivered major, big time. So IYO Sky had tweeted out, the WWE Universe in Puerto Rico seemed to like me a lot. I hope to see you guys again one day. I'll be honest, if Bianca Belair wasn't on the precipice of breaking these records, longest reigning Raw Women's Champion or longest reigning Women's Champion of the modern era, etc., I would have been all for WWE calling an audible and saying, you know what, this match is not only is it incredible or better than we ever could have imagined, this crowd is, for the most part, fully backing IYO. So if there were ever a time to change the title, for that title to change hands, rather, especially after a year, on this very night, it would have made a lot of sense. And IYO would have carried that momentum. I have no doubt about it. So, IYO, I hope you do get a singles title opportunity and victory in the very near future. We'll see. I know they don't come very often for certain women, certain wrestlers out there, unfortunately, on a very competitive brand, too, on SmackDown now. Bianca Belair is champion, of course. Charlotte Flair when she returns, Asuka, IYO Sky, Bayley, just to name a few of them. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but IYO would be a great champion. So I'd love to see her obviously hold gold sooner than later. Now, as far as the Bad Bunny and Damian Priest match was concerned, I had mentioned who produced the two women's matches. Jamie Noble produced that San Juan street fight. Again, great job in doing so. That was just fantastic. And, back to IYO Sky. Sorry, I'm bouncing around here because I got some last minute notes that I neglected to mention throughout the course of the review. But before I get out of here, IYO Sky would also be a great contender for that Money in the Bank ladder match coming up in the top of July in London. That's one way to, for her to get her number one contendership for either the Raw or SmackDown Women's Championship, whether it's Bianca, whether it's Rhea, whether it's somebody else by that point. Carry around that briefcase. You got a year to cash in. You got a lot of time to decide. You pick your spots. And look, I think that would be good. Then we would all know that, look, IYO has an opportunity at some point in time, now or later, at least she can be involved in that scene. So IYO Sky, at this very moment, during this recording right here, I've got to fully back IYO Sky winning Money in the Bank, bottom line. As far as anything else, Finn Balor of the Judgment Day said, me and Savio Vega have heat. He tweeted that out, obviously. Savio Vega was chopping him up pretty good there in the aisleway leading to the ring there on Saturday night, which we all got to see. So in closing, just a couple notes heading into tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. Of course, I mentioned the whole dynamic of that WWE World Heavyweight Championship tournament taking place. 2 triple threat matches tonight. We know the 6 competitors involved. We don't know which 3 will be in each of those triple threat matches, leading to the final later in the night between the final 2 men standing. But what we do know per Fightful is there will be missing posters for Becky Lynch planted by Trish Stratus. Now, this totally makes sense because Trish Stratus put out a tweet on Sunday saying, with a picture of her below this tweet, saying, since she has no friends, see, I care. And hashtagging thank you Trish, hashtag missing, hashtag proactive. And obviously she's been toying and teasing with Becky Lynch ever since she turned on her earlier last month when they lost that Women's Tag Team Championship match to Raquel and Liv when Trish filled in for Lita after attacking Lita. Again, obviously turned on Becky. And on this t-shirt is a picture of Becky Lynch with her hand on her head next to the commentary table. And up top in red lettering, it says missing in the corner of this picture. It has a picture of Becky Lynch. And then it's very hard to see on this t-shirt in small writing. I'm sure a little more information, most likely sarcastic information involving Becky Lynch, which we'll all see tonight on Monday Night Raw. Exactly what is said on these missing posters for Becky Lynch. And honestly, it looks like a shirt that's, if it's not already, going up on WWE Shop, this missing t-shirt that Trish Stratus is promoting. Also, Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville are doing an angle where they want other wrestlers to go on strike against management. I mean, when do they not have problems with Adam Pearce? They always seem to have a problem with him. Sonya's had a problem with him for a year plus when she used to be GM alongside him. And Chelsea Green, ever since she returned to WWE a couple months ago, she's always got an issue with him as well. And again, last but not least, that World Heavyweight title tournament kicks off tonight and will conclude on Friday Night SmackDown. And we'll have the 2 men vying for that championship opportunity at Night of Champions. So, folks, I want to thank you for tuning in to the Turnbuckle Topics podcast, this WWE Backlash review of sorts. So a lot to talk about. I know that for only 7 matches, there was a lot of information to give you and a lot of opinions I had regarding this. But man, again, could not have been happier with this show. And so that's that. So thank you again for tuning in to the Turnbuckle Topics podcast. I'm your host, Pat Deneen, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening.